Here.
Hello and welcome to our Alternatives to Printing online workshop. This is Daniela Beall, the Sustainability Coordinator, and
Judy Julien-Alexander, Director of Technology Support.
We're just going to walk through this presentation, and if you have any questions at the end, you can email helpdesk@goucher.edu.
Okay, so Daniela and I put this together because, you know, we had some workshops and we know everybody couldn't attend, and especially for those that don't work on campus, we wanted to share all the tips and tricks and background information about how you can help reduce printing. But first, we want to start off with providing some statistics. So as you can see from this slide that this was during printing at Goucher during the fiscal year 2019, that we printed over 2 million pages. And out of all those 2 million pages, faculty and staff printed almost 2 million of those pages. So we're doing a lot of printing, you know, so that's why we really need to try and get the level of printing down, because maybe not everyone's familiar of how much we are charged for printing, because black and white printing is about 6 cents per page, but when you start printing color pages, it goes up to 20 cents per page. And then for paper use, we used about 1.6 million sheets during that fiscal year. So from those numbers, we're seeing that, you know, even though we're using 1.6 million, but we're printing way more than 2 million. Some of that is double-sided, but there could be also other factors of other people purchasing pages as well, and not using the ones that are provided by the college. And then the last stat we have is that over 200 toner cartridges were used during that year. Now, since we recently, within the last 2 years, we switched to a different company that's the vendor for our copiers, and we've used a system that is more like it's called an ecosystem system, which allows us to use fewer toner cartridges. So in terms of toner cartridges, even though we've used about 200 toner cartridges that year, it's still probably a really good number, because instead of it being replaced when we think that it needs to be replaced, it only allows you to replace it when it is absolutely empty, which is a good thing. So how can we help reduce printing? So in this session, we want to cover all of these features, which is how to use copiers effectively, how to check printer settings, working with PDFs, how to create a digital signature, digital document sharing, and some other alternatives. So using copiers effectively. Now, these steps, it may seem like it's a lot of steps, but for the most part, if you've been here for a while, a lot of people already use the scan to email feature, which you're using the copiers to swipe your wine card, put the papers that you want to scan to email, and then select the option to scan an email, and then it sends you an email with that scanned document that you just placed. It's pretty straightforward, and so it allows us to conserve the amount of paper or pages that we have lying around, so that we can all have that as an electronic document, instead of having, you know, to go through or sift through a lot of papers, and it allows us to organize our information better. Now, one thing to keep in mind, because it is scanned to email, is that it is restricted by the size, by the attachment. So because the PDF file is attached to your email, the maximum size is 2 megabytes. So you need to be aware of that and make sure that, you know, you're not, if you need to break up the document to smaller sizes, or if you're printing out something in color, it also increases the size as well. So take that into consideration when you scan to email. Another feature that a lot of people probably actually don't know is to scan to USB. And so this option is available on all the Kyocera copiers. So you just need to make sure that the USB or the thumb drive that you're using is formatted for the copier. So if you've used it for a Mac, you need to make sure that it's converted to a FAT32 not operating system, but a file system, which you can do on a Windows computer. If you need assistance with that, just contact the help desk, and we will help you how to figure that out. And so once it's configured the right way that the copier can recognize it, then you can just follow the prompts. I believe the options are in device functions, where you can access the USB, save files there, or print files from there, or scan files to your USB. And how to check printer settings. So for the most part, everyone knows how to check printer settings. When you need to switch, to a double-sided or single-sided printing options, those options are available when you go to the printer or go to the document or the application. So for this one, this is just an example of how. Oops.
Just click on that.
Okay, sorry about that. So this is just one way that it would look on a PC. So how to check printer settings on a PC. Now this is important, even though we all know when we need to make a change, we know where to go in. But whenever you make a change, you always want to make sure that it reverts back to the default. So let's say one day you needed to print in color, but for the most part, you print in black and white. Now for this example that we have here, this is a black and white printer. You cannot print in color. So as you can see, I don't know. Can they see my mouse?
I don't think so.
Okay. But as you can see in like the middle of the screen where it has the print size, the source, the media type, I've highlighted the where it says unspecified. That can play a role on how much ink is actually used and what the paper type is that you're putting in the printer. So you want to make sure that for the media type, it is set to something that is close to or exactly what the type of paper you're using. So if you're using a plain sheet of white paper, it should say plain. Now, if you're using more of a cardstock paper, that option should be available in the media type, and you want to select cardstock, because even though this is not related to conservation or printing, it also helps in paper jam, which can also waste paper. So that you're not causing a paper jam, you want to make sure the media type matches the actual media, so that the printer can recognize the type of paper that you have, so it can print it out without any issues. One of the other highlighted on the left side, we have print all pages. So this is where we can customize. If we don't need to print the whole entire document, we can select certain pages or one page to print. Print on both sides should be the default for PC users. Flip pages on long edge. And if you do not see that it says print on both sides, you want to make sure that you change that. So in order to access these more advanced options, you would go to the printer properties where right below where it lists printer. And this is where you can make sure that all the settings are correct. If you have duplex and EcoPrint, if you do not see it on the application regular printer settings, okay? So just make it a habit right before especially if you're printing a large document, a lot of pages, or if you're printing something that's in color, just make sure that the printer settings are correct, and just print one document first to make sure that the settings that you want actually print out before you print out the whole document. Okay, so how to check printer settings on a Mac. Now this one is really important because here at Kyocera, we have our Windows-based servers, which allows us to manage our printer drivers that are pushed out to Windows computers. But on the Mac side, it doesn't work the same way. So when we set that we want people to print out in double-sided or black and white as the default, those kinds of commands do not push through automatically to Mac computers. So instead of having, you use regular printer drivers, we've created ones that are called Secure Print BW, Secure Print Color for staff. And on the faculty side, we have Faculty Print BW and Faculty Print Color. And these print drivers, these print queues that we've set up, automatically set those drivers for you on the Mac side. So when you need to print just in black and white, you can print in black and white, and you are only charged black and white. So this is very important, because on the Mac side, even if you printed and sent a job to a regular printer, let's say it was directly to the Hofberger 138 printer, you just assume that it's going to print in black and white. It may print in black and white, but you may get charged color. So here, using those secure print and those faculty print queues, make sure that you actually print out what you need, and then and you're only charged for those. If you have any concerns about if you have the right printer settings, please contact the help desk, and we are happy to look over your settings to make sure that you have the right settings and that you're not printing out in color when you didn't need to. Okay.
All right, I will step in, and we're gonna just demo a few things of working with PDFs. So we're gonna start with saving PDF. So let me give me a moment to just pull up the appropriate page. Let's see. Get our demo document ready. Okay. So you should be seeing a Word document that I'm going to use just as an example for how to save to PDF and annotate, and then moving into annotating in PDFs. So this pledge is in Word right now, but we want to get it to a PDF document, and there are two ways I'm going to show you to do that. The first is going to File, Save As, and it will give you the option at the bottom of the little, I guess, menu, is to export to PDF. So you can change this setting from a Word document to PDF, and give it a name, put it in the folder you want, and click export. Another way to do this is to essentially try and print to PDF. And so if you go to File, Print, on a Mac at least, it will bring up let's see, another kind of print window. Yeah. Thank you. Where you can choose at the bottom left hand side, you'll see a PDF, and you can save as PDF. Yeah.
Again, so, I'm sorry, for PC users, it will definitely look a little different. You'll instead of it being the PDF option at the bottom, it will be a part of your printer list. It will actually look like it's a printer. So you just want to look for the Save as PDF option.
Great. So we're just going to do that here now. Save it as a PDF. And I'm just going to change the name. So it is now saved, but it's not going to automatically jump open. I'm going to go to my Finder window on a Mac. If it's on a PC, it would be the Explorer, and open up that PDF, and then I'll switch over to that document. There you right. So, switching over to now the PDF version of that document. Screen sharing has paused. Resume share. There we go. All right, thank you. So this document we're looking at through Adobe Acrobat Pro. If you have the reader version, it's going to look a little different. But there are some options for in the comment kind of section tab, some options for highlighting text, for crossing out, for underlining, all of these different kinds of things that you can mark up a document electronically instead of printing it out to mark it up. There's also options for creating boxes, for adding text boxes as well. So all of these options can be really helpful if you're working on a document with someone. Another important thing that we are going to demo here is how to do a digital signature, and there are a few ways to do that. So I'm just going to pull up some videos that show a few options for how to do a digital signature in Adobe Acrobat. So hang tight while we load up that window. And we will share these links with you as well. All right, here is the first video. I'm going to make that full screen, and I'm going to let you just click play.
Today I want to talk a little bit about adding signatures to PDF documents in an attempt to go paperless. So here I have Adobe Acrobat Reader. See, and you don't need the full version of Adobe Acrobat. You just use this, it's fine. So pull out the PDF that you need to sign. So once you got the PDF open, like I do here, come on down, right-hand side. Sign. Now, kind of get the general idea on the PDF where you want to sign. By the way, you have to have a PDF open before you can create a signature. So you got several options for signing. You can add a signature, you can add initials, you can also copy your signature from a piece of paper. But in this one, let's talk about adding a signature. So you can type a signature. And I guess that would work, depending on who this stuff is going to and who's really going to care. For internal audits, for sending papers around to get people to sign within your office, this could be acceptable. It's a legal document that it might not be such a big thing. Anyways, you can also draw. So with my mouse, it's hard to do, but you can add a signature. But another thing that you is if you had what they call a tablet and USB, you plug it with USB, you get a surface you can write on it, and you get a stylus that you can write on that surface with. That's what you've been doing at many of my workplaces for signatures. So yeah, and then it will just become a mouse, and you can write in your name here, or you could scan a JPEG. Scan out your signature and add it here. That's another thing you can do. It's all up to you, but those are 3 ways that you can add a signature. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go on the place that you want to add your signature. Say it's right there. Now you can enlarge it and make it smaller or does it manually right there. Or say, nope, not there. Anyways, that is the way that you add a signature to a PDF. I definitely recommend you try this when you're sending sign-offs around at work. It's a great way to go painful. It's got to save the earth, got to save the trees, all that stuff. But yeah, check it out. Use it. It's good stuff. Like, subscribe if I helped you out. This will definitely help me out. And have a good one, folks. Bye-bye.
All right, so that shows one version. And this next video is going to show another option that's a little bit perhaps
So
fancier.
Or more if you need a more formal option. So if you're working with documents where it's working with money, or you're working with outside companies that require a digital signature, this is your best option.
Steps. Actually setting up the digital signature. So you have your document here. Some companies, some people might actually put it in some. However, some it's just required signature. Ways that they know your process for setup. What I'm going to be doing is actually placing a signature and then inserting it using your digital signature that was set up to actually lock the documents. First thing I would like to do is actually create my actual signature, and the document you're going to see it here right inside. Inside. It's going to open up the first here. Check next. There's some comments here. However, I'm just going to go ahead and put my signature there. Go ahead and actually right here. This is the appearance of what it looks like. You see the name stamp right there. There's my name. Actually, add seals, actual my signatures, and change the appearance of the signature. I'll use the standard text, just to create another appearance right there. Something like your actual stamp and seal in there here. This document after signing, what this does is it prevents me actually editing the file, and if they attempt to, the file will show up in the file. So you got everything here. You're just going to enter the password that you set up with signature. Enter that there. Sign. It's going to ask me to name the file as desktop here. Save, sign, it's going to show up. There's my digital signature.
right, so let's see. So those are a few ways to add a signature. We'll share those links with anyone who is looking for them. There's also another video that we didn't show with how to create that digital ID. So we'll be sharing those links as well.
Okay, so next is digital document sharing. So as faculty and staff, we all have access to Box, which is what, for now, it's really our primary storage for files. And, you know, some people find it, you know, a bit difficult to transition from paper storage to actually storing files online. And so we wanted to share a couple of ways that you, a couple of tips and a couple of things to think about when storing files online. So some of the things we're going to talk about is sharing a link versus collaborating, creating a structured file system in Box, and what shouldn't be shared. Okay, so so since this is online, you know, we want to make sure that there aren't sensitive files or sensitive information that is online. Even though we do provide security, it's not guaranteed. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that information like social security numbers, credit card information, personal records like a birth certificate should not be placed in Box, whether you use Box or any other type of online storage like Dropbox or something like that. So we want to make sure that you know that and you're aware of that, so that is not the best place. Now, if you do need to hold on to that type of information for work, we do still have access to Magellan, which is our physical storage server. So if you need to save these types of information, those are where they should go, because we can then guarantee that those files will not be compromised, and if they do, we can quickly address it. So here's one type of Box file structure. This is one where it's by a department. So the example I have here is called for TE team, which is our one of our information technology departments. What we have here is that the TE team is the folder, and these are the folders within that folder. So you'll notice that on the right-hand side that there is, there's two sharing units here. There's the information technology one, which is the owner of the TE team folder, and then there's the TE team group, which is an editor of the TE team folder. So what we have done here is created a structure that allows a department to be able to share files amongst each other. So it's sort of similar to how, for those of you who are familiar with Magellan, where if you have a department, so if we have information technology, that you can create individual folders. You have the division information technology, and then you have folders within that information technology division folder for each of the departments that are within technology. So this is sort of the same thing. So you'll notice that there's the TE team folder, there's the overall information technology folder, technology engagement, and so forth. So Box works a little bit differently in that you can't really have subfolders within folders and have different permission settings. So if you need to have a folder where there's some people in the same department have restricted access, you'll have to create a different folder for that. So what the information technology owner account allows you to do is still keep all those folders in one spot, so that not one individual person is the owner of those folders and another person is owner of other folders. Every every folder that's for information technology is owned by that information technology general use account, so that everyone can have access to it if need be. And then you can set the permissions that way. One of the great examples that I like to use is the provost office has a lot of centers. So there's a center folder for, there's a folder for each of the centers, and then each of the center folders are managed by the center directors. And so that's sort of a similar thing that you can do for your department if you need it set up that way. If you do not have something structured this way, I highly recommend it, and please contact the help desk, and we could sit down with you and talk about how best Box can be used and set up for your department, because it doesn't have to be set up this way. It could just be one large folder, and that everything is in that folder and is shared to everyone, because you don't need to have any restrictions set up. So it's really best how it best works for your department. The other way is that the individual structure. So now these are your personal files. How do you want to best structure those files that you access the most for? Oh, I'm sorry, that's your part.
No, jump right in. I'm happy to let you talk about it. Yeah, so this is just as a sample showing how digital file storage can nest folders within folders in a way that's really helps navigate better than paper files. And one of the advantages being that you can also search within these. And something that I think the help desk can help with, or just requires a little bit of thought, is how different files and folders will be named. And this is something that will evolve over time as new things develop. So for instance, I have some folders regarding events, and the organization of those might change as something becomes an annual event or something new comes up. So it's kind of in a continuing evolving process.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that you can notice here is that Daniela is using Box Drive. This is how it looks on her computer with the Box Drive application installed on her computer. So there's two ways you can access it. You can access it through the application, or you can access it online by going to box.kyocera.edu. I mean, one of the benefits of accessing it on your computer is that you have access to your files at any time without having to log on to a web browser to access your files.
Right.
Now, one thing you'll notice is on the right side of each of the folders or files is there is a check mark that lets you know that each of these files have been backed up online and are streaming. So any changes that she makes, it'll probably turn to a yellow, and then it'll eventually turn green. So to let you know that, okay, any changes you made have been backed up.
And this
online.
is useful because, essentially I selected the sustainability folder that I have to be accessible offline. So if I don't have access to Wi-Fi, if I'm working somewhere, if the internet goes down, I can still access these files and work on them. And once I am back on Wi-Fi, it will back up with the cloud. So I typically use the Box Drive, looking through the Mac Finder application, because it's a little easier for me to navigate than box.com. But one thing that I can only do via box.com is setting sharing permissions. So if I want to share a file or share a folder with someone that I'm working on a project with, I need to log online through box.com to do that.
Yeah. So it just really makes it so that you essentially don't really need to log in unless you need to share something. But for the most part, if you do have those department file structures in place, that the sharing should already be set for you, and then you just need to put the files wherever you need people to have access to it, unless it's outside of your department.
And this is available via PC as well. It'll look a little different.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so some other alternatives that that we thought we'd mention, when we decided to have these workshops, Daniela sent out a survey, and some of the questions that came up about, or concerns about, moving to being more digitized. So we thought we'd get some other options out there. So taking screenshots, you know, it's probably one of the easiest things you need to do. If there's something that is on your screen, and that you need to have some type of copy, but it doesn't have to be a physical copy, a digital copy of that image that you want to capture. You can take a screenshot, whether it's on a Mac or a PC. There are quick shortcut options that you can Google real quick and to find out what those shortcut keys are to take a screenshot of your screen, so you can have that image or that information quickly. Switching between screens. So again, whether you're on a PC or a Mac, there are different keys that you can use on your keyboard that you can use to switch between screens. And what the benefit of that is that you can have multiple windows or even screens available if you're using Windows 10, so that you can move information around and have other information around, so that you can have all that information available on your screen without having to print out paper and look at something, but you can bring it up and utilize all those quick access features on your monitor. And for those who do have dual screens, now this is something where if you have a laptop, your laptop automatically comes with an external monitor. Some people may not even realize that your own monitor, your own laptop screen is its own monitor. So you actually do have two screens there. You have your screen on your laptop, and you have your external monitor that you can use to move information around or to expand the desktop size of your screen, so that you can enlarge things or add more documents or windows on your screen, so you can multitask. But if needed, and for those who do have it, you can, there is the option, at a cost though, to have another monitor where you have two external monitors, so that you can have even more space.
Yeah, I use that a lot when I'm inputting data or needing to reference a document while I'm working in another document. It's helpful to have both of those available. Or if I'm working from home and I don't have the second monitor, switching between screens really helps me jump between, you know, an Excel file and a Word file, or
especially Excel, because when you're in Excel, you know, if you're working with large spreadsheets and you have to scroll through them or zoom in so you can see all that information, having two screens really helps with that. When speaking of zooming in, there's also the zoom function, which one of the questions is that I can't really see that well, and you can definitely use the built-in zoom functions that are built into the operating system, but also into a lot of the applications. So one thing you just want to look for is a magnifying glass that doesn't have a search field. Usually have a plus or minus sign next to it, and you can use that zoom function to enlarge or make smaller, so that you can either fit in all the data that you want to see on the screen, or if you need to zoom in to see all that, to see the information better for you, then you can zoom out, and you can utilize that feature as well. So that would avoid having to print it out, so you can look at the information and you can use the zoom function to look better on the screen.
Yeah, and I think there are some shortcut keys as well that can be looked up. You just Google what the shortcut keys are for that. You know, control plus minus kinds of things that help zoom in really quickly.
I have notes here that so if you have on a Mac, the screenshot is the new screen capturing application that's available in Mojave. Anything before Mojave is called Grab. On a PC, it's the snipping tool that will allow you to screen capture and draw and stuff on what you just captured. Okay, so what is one thing you can do now to help reduce printing? So I hope that you can think about that after reviewing this video. I hope that we were able to provide you some information that maybe you weren't aware of, or some
fresh
tips.
ideas.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing, all it takes is just one change that you can make that would help, and that would make a difference.
Yeah.
I think if you devote one change, and then start off with that, then it could roll into other changes.
And I think this is something where we can all help each other out. You know, nobody learns these things just in a vacuum. And so using Google, talking to a colleague, getting some help, learning these new ways of kind of saving to PDF or signing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think we can all help each other out. And certainly the help desk is available by phone, email, text,
Mm-hmm.
to help with this as well.
Yes.
So thanks so much for watching. Hope this is helpful, and we'll see you around.
Yeah.